Good day, and welcome to the 10th episode of The Perfect Play, the podcast that teaches you how to make your next move your best move. I'm your host, and I'm accompanied by our awesome cast.
Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am C. Will, your co-host, here to drop knowledge and spread ripples of change. And this wouldn't be possible without our honorable marketing representatives and professionals from our team. Say what's up to them, ladies.
Hey, it's me, AJ, your marketing rep, here to give you everything you need to know about PeerForward. Glad to be back for another Perfect Play.
Awesome. And we also have some special guests. We love to check in. We check in at every training, every meeting, every huddle. So it's only right we check in for every episode. Listeners, today the check-in is fun, fast, and friendly. So who will lead our check-in today?
Hey, man, your co-host here. I am C. Will. I got the check-in for today. Drum roll, please. All right, so special guest. What was your most memorable college experience thus far? We can start with Amanda.
Thanks. So I'm Amanda, and my most memorable experience in college was really my freshman year. Just walking into the bookstore for the first time and buying my first set of textbooks was so exciting. And believe me, they were so expensive, it felt like carrying bars of gold. I know you guys these days can rent your books online, so much easier. Sometimes you don't even need books. But to me, that felt like I was finally opening the door to my education, and I was super excited. Of course, you couldn't sell them back at the end, so I'm still carrying those bars of gold.
You have wealth forever. All right, thank you, Amanda. Jason.
My most memorable college experience was I was fortunate to go to school in the city of Philadelphia. And one thing I'll never forget was, I think it was my second year, 6 a.m, I went to something called the Wing Bowl, which was a professional buffalo wing eating contest. So that definitely stands out. I never did anything quite like that again, and I will definitely never forget it.
We all know who won that competition. Thanks, Jason. Last but not least,
Yeah, my favorite college experience, just overall, was I began my DJ career, and so just DJing like local parties, on campus, off campus, house parties, which ultimately culminated in the end of the year celebration. I think every campus has that. So for us, it was called Culture Shock, and so that was in 2011 when Drake came to our campus, and I actually got to DJ party. So that was really big for me.
Drake. Thank you, Omezie, for that. Yeah, man, my best experience definitely when I got on campus, moving into my dorm, man, and meeting my roommate. His name was Michael Myers, right? But I think we developed a relationship, and we're still friends today. So, yeah, man, meeting those new individuals on campus, people who I would never have crossed paths with if it wasn't for college. So I think that was one of my biggest experiences. So thank you to my special guest for checking in with us today, doing the Perfect Play podcast. Back to you, Tim.
Thanks to our special guest, and thanks, of course, C. Will, our co-host. So let's jump into today's discussion topic. Today we're in for a treat. Listeners near and far or wherever you are, you get to reap the benefits of hearing gems, insight, and highly classified information about what it takes to succeed in college. Despite the peculiarity of this post-secondary school year, we've all experienced ups and downs during our matriculation. Accompanied by some of our most eloquent leaders in partnership, we hope to learn from how Amanda, Omezie, and Jason's college track has led to their current profession. Welcome to the LC College Interview. I'm excited about our discussion, but to begin, could the LC introduce themselves by stating their name, their role, and how they got involved with the Leadership Council?
Hi, I'm Amanda Hale, and I'm the chair of our Leadership Council. I have been involved with PeerForward since the summer of 2011 when I was a writing coach volunteer. That summer changed my life, and I love the mission of PeerForward and everything it does for the next generation, and I've been involved ever since. Super excited to be here, and for my day job, I'm a managing director at Deloitte, where I lead global projects and really enjoy that career as well. Yeah, as the junior board, we focus on supporting PeerForward's mission however we can, whether that's through developing new programs or acting as a sounding board to the national board, or what we really focus on a lot is fundraising, so we can continue to help PeerForward accomplish everything it wants to.
Thanks, Amanda.
This is Jason Gerstein. I've been on the Leadership Council for about 5 years, working with Amanda and all of the other distinguished members. For my day job, I am a lawyer. I work for a firm in New York, and the way I was introduced to the Leadership Council was through one of my law firm partners who is on the national board. So he got me involved and introduced me to Gary and everybody else at PeerForward at the time. And I've been here ever since.
Thanks. Welcome, Jason.
Hi, everyone. My name is Omezie, and I'm a member on the Leadership Council. I actually came to work with the Leadership Council throughout the years. I've participated and volunteered, speaking at different fundraising events. And so this last year, I've been just trying to elevate my leadership, and the opportunity presented itself for me to join, and I just jumped on it. I'm happy to be. So I'm almost at 1 year, not there yet, but I'm still a rookie with the Leadership Council. Outside of PeerForward, I'm a guidance counselor at a high school in New York City, and I'm working towards becoming a principal by this time next year.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. Good friend of ours in the organization.
All right, so we can hop right into it with our special guest. Our discussion questions for today. How did you choose your college major and or minor? And so we can start with Amanda. If you'll give us a little just overview of how you chose your major.
Sure, thanks. Well, actually, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't know what I should major in. So for all of you out there who are still undecided, that's okay. I knew that I liked English, classic literature, history, foreign languages, philosophy, and things like that, and really learning about other cultures. So I was undecided for a while. Of course, everyone has to take your basic classes, but I decided to go ahead and major in humanities with a minor in foreign languages. And through that, in my program, I did a study abroad year in Germany. Totally enjoyed it, really just, again, building that foreign language capacity. While I was in Germany, I decided to take a business class, international business, and all of a sudden I found my calling. So that's what I decided I wanted to do. Of course, I was about to graduate with my undergrad, so that wasn't really a good time to discover my calling, but that's okay because I decided to go to graduate school and get my master's of business administration, so my MBA. Did have to take some leveling classes to be eligible to apply, so accounting, finance, economics, et cetera, but that's okay. It was worth it. I had to extend my graduation date a bit, but after that, I went on and got my MBA, and so that combination I have found it's a really good one, very powerful. So like I said, if there's anyone out there that you're not quite sure what you want, just go ahead and start your basics and then start taking some classes that you might find interesting, and you may uncover something that really awakens an interest in you.
Amanda's story is not too different from mine. I went to college undecided also, and what I did when I got there was I just took classes that I thought I might like to take, and I realized pretty quickly that I really enjoyed the history classes, and I didn't enjoy so much some of the other classes that I was taking, and that was that. Majored in European history, and I minored in sociology, which was sort of the same kind of story. I realized I was gravitating towards the classes that I like to take, and I took a lot of them, and there you go. I had a major and a minor. I didn't go to school focused on a specific area or thinking about, what I might like to do after college or anything like that. I really was trying to take the classes that I thought I wanted to take.
Thank you for that, Jason. Omezie.
For me, I actually went to a liberal arts school, and real big emphasis on the arts. And so my parents convinced me, after my batch applications, where my high school counselor never sent out my applications, I ended up going to a school that had rolling admission. And so one of the biggest sells my parents kind of got me on was that it had music. So initially I got there thinking, maybe I might do music, but then obviously the Nigerian culture that I come from weighed heavy on me. And so I then had this bright idea that I wanted to become a medical doctor and go back to Nigeria and open up hospitals and save lives. So I did bio for 1 year as a pre-med, and kicked my butt. And I didn't like it. I was playing soccer, playing basketball at the same time. It was just too much to manage. I wasn't doing really well. I wasn't happy. All my time was spent in the library and studying. So after that year, my advisor, who was my EOP advisor, special program, support program I was a part of, she actually said that many of my bio credits could transfer over to something else in the natural sciences. And she asked me what I did in my summers, and I told her hey, I volunteered with this organization called College Summit. I work with kids. She told me to start thinking about psychology, and so I took one psychology class, and I was like, oh, I like this, talking about the brain and why people behave the way they do. I was like, oh, this is great, and so that's really how I got to psychology as a major.
Nice.
I was just thinking, isn't it funny though how you end up in a career that really does align to your interests, and you kind of discover that sometimes in college, right? So I'm in a job now where I'm doing international business, and I'm working around the globe, and I'm getting to deal with people from all different cultures every day. I start my calls in the morning with India, and I end them at night with Singapore, and I do Europe and the Americas in between, and traveled to like 30 or 40 countries, right? And I love it. But I wouldn't have known that back in college. I just knew what I was interested in, and I think when you can put those building blocks together and develop yourself in the area that you enjoy, it's going to lead you to the right career.
Very good caveat, Amanda. Thank you for sharing. Even when I was in college, I started off as a poli-sci major, and just being in this work, it definitely prepares you for anything, but you never know what you start in college and how it could take you to your profession now. So the next question really has a lot to do around how you all funded your post-secondary education. Financial aid is a huge determinant in how students are able to attend and fulfill their post-secondary dreams. Do you mind sharing how you all paid for college?
Sure, I'll take that. I'll go first. So I primarily funded my college education through scholarships. Worked really hard. I have to say I was a good student, and that worked well for me. Otherwise, I couldn't have afforded it. I did have to, of course, work the whole time I was in college. I did work study, and I did have to take some loans to supplement that. But it worked out. And I think for anyone out there who is worried about that, you will work it out. There are so many scholarships out there and packages available from different schools. Just keep all your avenues open and look into every nook and cranny, and then it'll come together.
Thanks, Amanda. What about you, O?
Yeah, for me, my finances wasn't too much of a challenge because I actually attended a state school in New York. So there was a lot of funding that I received because of my parents didn't really make a lot of money. So I did get a lot of financial aid. But additionally, I was a part of an opportunity program called EOP, Educational Opportunity Program. And so that program provided access and academic support and financial aid to students who showed promise, but didn't have the grades to get into the school in the regular admissions portal. So, they provided a lot of assistance as far as financial aid for me. I got additional money, grants, book stipends, in addition to the academic portion as well. So that really helped. I also worked work study as well. And I also had a side job in my off seasons where I just used that just to stack up. And in the summertime, I was always working. I would work with PeerForward, doing summer workshops. So some of those subsidized grants I would take out, subsidized loans that I would take out, I would pay them back immediately that subsequent semester. So that was really my financial plan. Just try to keep my loans to minimum and, just work my butt off.
Definitely both good points. I like what you said about state schools and really tapping into those resources that are already in our backyard or neighborhood. So going on to the next question, I want to definitely hear from Jason first. Students have to balance work, homework, and sometimes working while in college. How would you define a healthy work-life balance?
That's a great question. It's a question that I think goes beyond college too. It's a fantastic question for somebody who works in a big law firm. I think balance is how I would define it. If you have not to use the word that's in the phrase to define the phrase, but if you have only work, then you don't have a life, is probably how I would put it. And so for sure, the goal when you're in college is to get good grades and be academically successful. But I think it's also to develop as a person and grow into an adult and, learn how to handle the other aspects of your life that aren't necessarily in the classroom. So while I think it's paramount to study and pay attention to homework and a job, if you have a job, it's also important to experience the other things that college has to offer and come out of the process feeling like you progressed over the 4 years. If that makes sense.
Thanks, Jason. How would you define it, Amanda?
Yeah, I think it's important to have an outlet, whether that be working out, meditating, just hanging out with your friends. And these days that can be virtually or outdoors. Figure it out. Actually, I say that a lot. Figure it out before you burn out, right? So don't let yourself get to that point where you've lost that balance that Jason talked about. So give yourself that outlet.
Awesome. How would you define it, O?
Yeah, I think it's more so what works best for you as far as to keep your sanity, your happiness, physically fit as well. So for everyone that looks different. So I think it's important for you to find out what works for you. For instance, like for me, what I found out was that, putting things on the calendar worked for me, whether it's my work, whether it's personal time, whether it's events. Once I have everything on my calendar, then I'm organized. And then I also learned that maybe not studying in my room was good for me. Maybe going to the library or getting a desk that I'm sitting up straight as opposed to laying down. So I think those kind of things help my productivity and it gave me more time to do other things, go have fun, play basketball, hang with my friends, and all those kind of things. So I think it's a mixture of finding what works for you and what makes you feel good and what helps you cope.
Sure. So in our comment bar below and in our comment section, please let us know how did you define a healthy work-life balance? What works well for you? We really want to hear from you all out there in the field. But just to keep the ball rolling, to our special guests, what were some of the challenges of being a college student? So I want to actually start with you, Omezie. Give us some, just in 30 seconds or less, what were some challenges for you?
Balancing playing sports and studying, and then also finding time for my friends. Those are the biggest challenges for me.
Yeah, time management, 100%. You're on your own. You're not in high school anymore. You're not at home anymore with brothers, sisters, parents, whoever. You're on your own. Totally time management, figuring it out.
Check. I definitely agree with both of those statements, time management and also managing all the different things that you have going on as a college student, right? And so with that being said, my next question is, how did you all stay motivated each semester with all of these things going on, especially balancing life and work and those things? So actually, we're going to start with you, Amanda. Could you give us something in 30 seconds or less?
Absolutely. What I did to stay motivated is I picked classes and professors that I enjoyed. You can go out, especially now these days, you can research them and see how they're rated and see what their classes are like. So do that research. I just found one kind of by accident, which was Dr. Keith Owen. He was a history professor and I loved every class he taught and I took them all, believe me, but especially world history. So he could just really bring things to life. And so if you can find a professor like that, just maybe try to maximize that and that can keep your motivation up.
Yeah, I agree with Amanda. If you take the classes you like to take, it's a little easier to stay interested and motivated. For me, I decided I was going to go to law school and pursue a career as an attorney. And, I was motivated to get into a good school and I needed good grades to do it.
No, definitely. We all know about those good grades. We definitely know why it's important and how it can definitely help. You've all said some good things. I love the words that have really stuck out, time management and figuring it out and really figuring out a release. I think more importantly than now, even in the pandemic, how do you release not only as a professional, but as a student? And then even as a student, there were some times that you had to release. Do you mind telling us a bit about your support system during college? What did that look like for you, Amanda?
Well, I was lucky. My mom worked at the university where I went, so I got to have lunch with her almost every day, and I really enjoyed that. So she was always a solid support for me, as was my older sister. But I also had an awesome mentor who was my English professor. So you're maybe hearing a theme here. I really enjoyed my professors. But, if you have somebody like that who has taken an interest in you, you can have good dialogue with, you can, go in maybe before or after class. My professors actually really helped kind of shape my next steps and asking me tough questions to think about and really giving me food for thought. So one was my English professor, as I mentioned, Dr. Susan Blassingame, and she helped me think about, how to make that switch over to business and get into grad school. So, I'd say find someone that you connect with and build that. So you've got that kind of person to go to with questions and to kind of think things through with.
Yeah, my support system definitely starts with family. I've been fortunate to have parents who have been very encouraging in terms of pursuing education and a career. And I've also had some teachers along the way that have been extremely supportive and have taken an interest in me. And it's always helpful when the people giving the lessons are also helping you through it and trying to work with you to understand.
Good point. Definitely good points.
Yeah, so actually my family, they were supportive, but not the kind of support that I needed. And just once again, like my culture is just one of those things where you just got to figure it out. Like, just study hard and do what you got to do. All that other stuff doesn't really matter. So as far as that emotional support and as far as just like overall encouragement, I got that from really College Summit, PeerForward. Many people like Gary and the mentors I had, the rap directors when I was an alum who poured into me and stayed connected with me, the other alum, my peers, throughout the time. It was kind of one of those things that you wanted to go hard and make sure that you did good, so that way in the summertime when you came back to workshops, you could tell you stood in front of everybody and was talking about your greatest accomplishment or your proudest moment. You had something to say, So something new to say, I would say. So that was also a big motivating factor, just having that network where I could just tap in and talk to and get life lessons from.
Thanks, and thanks for being transparent about what that support. Even though you got support, sometimes you got to figure out what that support might look like. And then last question before we go into our segment of the day, if you all could give your younger self advice about your post-secondary journey, what would you say? So Jason, Amanda, Omezie, what would you tell your old college self or young college self?
For me, it's probably something along the lines of stop and smell the roses a bit. I think I never took the time to just kind of stop and enjoy what college and I did a little bit of a better job in law school, but look around and see all the opportunities that are in front of you in college. There are so many amazing things that you can do that, you don't have all the time in the world, but you'll never have the opportunity to do some of those things again, whether it's, joining, I never did this, but a lot of people join singing groups, right? The only place you can do that is in college. I joined club tennis. I had a great time, but I didn't do enough of that, and I wish I did.
I would echo exactly what Jason said. Just slow down a bit. I mean, I always had a lot of self-induced pressure to keep those scholarships, right? Keep the grades up. But I've found, as similar to Jason, in grad school, I got more involved from a leadership perspective. I started mentoring programs. I really got more involved in the community. And I wish I had done that earlier. So, get myself out there a bit more in terms of volunteering and giving back. So I find a lot of fulfillment in that. So, think about other ways to develop yourself. Obviously, you're going to get a ton of enrichment in college and all these classes you get to take and all the people you're going to meet and the professors and whatnot. But, look for things outside of college to give back to your community. That's what I would say.
Yeah, for me, it was more so taking advantage of the free resources that the colleges offers. So, like, things that you can get with your student discounts, if there's movie showings, musicals, art plays. Especially since I went to art school, I feel like I didn't really start taking advantage of those things to my senior year. Whether it's even networking with professors or studying abroad. I never got to study abroad because I was a two-sport athlete. So I was always in season, but that's something I wish I could have definitely done. Even just like this tutoring center, an academic center where they help you with writing a paper and all that kind of things. I wish I would have taken advantage of those things earlier.
Good point, Omezie. Leveraging those resources, stopping the smell of the roses, and slowing down a bit, getting involved early. Really appreciate all of those insights. So this takes us to our segment of the day. You ask, we answer. Peer leaders and advisors are given the opportunity to submit questions on the episode and ask our special guest one question. And today's question, if you could change anything about your experience, what would you alter and why? Now, some of that did come up in our final question, but is there anything specific you could change about your experience? What would you alter and why? Let's start with Omezie to begin.
I would have network more with people that I didn't really connect with, people that I found it harder to connect with or who look different than me. I felt like initially I didn't do a good job of that because now that I'm a professional, there's many people that you can tap into. So I feel like more so like the students, other students and professors just networking a little harder.
Thanks, Joe.
I'll go next. I would have taken a public speaking class. I know you might think that's the last class you ever want to take, but that one will pay you the most dividends in your future. So if that's an option for you, take it. Get yourself comfortable in front of an audience. People fear that, but the sooner you can get over that fear, the more successful you'll be. Take public speaking.
Yeah, I in a similar vein, I would have tried to get out of my comfort zone a little bit more. I went to a school that was heavily Northeastern in terms of the student body. And I wish I made more of an effort to meet people who were different from the people I grew up with and take advantage of the opportunity that was in front of me.
I think that's what we're all saying is like, when looking back, we realize what a once in a lifetime chance college is for you, to build yourself, to invest in your network, and really pave the way for yourself for the next 40 years of your life and build your own future. So hopefully maybe some of our words of wisdom can give you some things to think about as you get ready for your upcoming matriculation. It's a super exciting time of your life. So congrats in advance.
Yeah, I like to just quickly add, I also wish I learned about stocks, making money, and even came out of college with maybe a skill in Adobe or with a camera or video editing, something that I could have made extra money on the side with. I think that something I could have been an entrepreneur with outside of just DJing, or to supplement that or complement it. I think that was something else that I wish, or a language.
All good points, and I definitely agree. If I could go back to college a few years back, I would have tried to figure out all of those things in stocks and coming out with that tangible skill. But we're all in the pandemic, so there's more time to pick up new habits. Thank you for the discussion, Leadership Council. We're going to transition to our marketing interlude for the day. Let's give a round of applause for AJ.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's me, AJ. I'm always here to give you what's up next with PeerForward. So I just wanted to let you all know about a couple of resources and tips that you can really use if you're heading back to college or to college for the first time this fall. So during this summer, for the next 6 weeks, we will be teaming up with the Opportunity Network and Reach Higher to give you summer tips and tricks to help you transition to your semester this fall. So don't miss out. You can follow us on Instagram and we'll have all of our information there. Of course, it's at PeerForward. So go ahead and give us a like, give us a follow, and we'll give you those tips and tricks. And don't forget that you can connect, if we're talking about networking, you can connect with your PeerForward family during our summer social. You can find the bit.ly link, which is bit.ly/NACSummer20 on our Instagram as well. Just go ahead and click that link in our bio. You can find it on Facebook and Twitter as well. Don't forget that we'll have resources for you every single week. So go ahead and give us a follow. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, and Google Podcasts. Thanks, Tim. Back to you.
Thanks, AJ. Make sure you subscribe. Like she said, we're continuing to roll out our Perfect Play, and we'll hope to bring our special guests and more interesting voices to the platform. Thanks, Marketing Rep, and thanks, co-host, for another eventful episode of the Perfect Play. But none of this would have been possible without our experts. Leadership Council, thank you very much. And of course, you all, our listeners. Please share today's episode of The Perfect Play with your peers, families, and anyone in search of a good listen. I'm your host, Tim Spicer, and we'll hear you next time.